Hey, welcome into this week's matchup preview show. I'm Lizi Arbogast alongside Caleb Brooks for Central Alabama Voice. And week 0 is in the books, and now we're on to officially week 1.
Yeah, no, I mean, and we got through it without many issues or anything. So I think that was a big key. This is also going to be a big week. And then, like I was talking to somebody else, a lot of schools are about to come back in. So these first 3 or 4 weeks of the season are going to really tell us a lot about being able to get through a season or not.
Yeah, I think so too. And I do think that some teams did a little better at social distancing and requiring masks and actually following through with some of those things. So I know the AHSA has really been harping on that, and just make sure you're taking those extra precautions, because the more we do, the more likely we are to have
and
a full
these kids
season.
deserve it. I mean, that's the thing too.
Exactly.
I've gotten to see what they've gone through this summer, and the kids deserve to have you actually follow the protocols and do what you're told to do so that they can get through this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of which, there were a slew of games that were canceled for this week. Sarah-Land and Hewitt-Trussville, Hueytown and Clay Chalkville, Lochapoka Central Coosa, Prattville Christian versus Elwood Christian, Southside Selma versus Selma. That's kind of a disappointing one because the rivalry. Park Crossing and Dothan, Homewood versus Vestavia Hills, Scottsboro and Madison Academy that we know of in the Central.
And they're
Alabama
saying
region.
that Hewitt-Trussville and Clay Chalkville can now schedule each other because it was their opponents that canceled, and so they're right there.
Yeah,
and so maybe having another rivalry game there for Hewitt-Trussville.
Yeah, and it's good that everybody's kind of working together, trying to figure out and they're not counting a forfeit against you points wise and stuff like that. So but there are another big slew of games this week. First, we're going to start out with Childersburg at BB Comer, both season openers for both of these teams, and it's going to be Thursday night at 7:00.
Yeah, big one for Childersburg. Coach Johnny Johnson opening up his tenure, and they're kind of coming off some years where they didn't play as well as they wanted to, missed playoffs. So it's a big one for them. And then for BB Comer, they're coming off the most wins.
I know, they were surprising.
And played really well, and they feel really good about a young quarterback that they have on their team. So it's their first matchup since 2015, and Childersburg won that one 54-7. But I think that we're going to see a lot better game because that wasn't as good of a BB Comer team as what they have now.
Yeah, I hope so. Another big game is Horseshoe Bend is at Victory Christian. Horseshoe Bend, I'm a little partial to them, but the Generals got a huge win last week against Wadley in their renewing of that rivalry, which was really exciting. And I think with the gauntlet that they have coming up region-wise, having 2 wins to start the season would really, really help confidence going into what's going to be very tough down the road.
And I think that's the big key is confidence. I mean, I think that Coach Phillips has this group believing. We had him in here for Lake Martin Sports Roundup a couple of weeks ago, and that's what the kids talked about. We feel better going into this year. We feel, better about our team than we have at any year. So I think getting another win for them is going to be huge, and then building up to where they then have to take on a pretty tough region the rest of the way.
Absolutely. Lanett is at Valley on Friday night. This is a 2A versus 6A game, so it seems like it should go one way, but as we all know, Lanett is not your typical 2A team.
No, they got some good athletes on the offensive side of the ball. Dominated a Georgiana team who was pretty good a year ago and made the playoffs 47-0. But Valley coming off a huge win over Beauregard.
That was unexpected.
It was a surprising win. I just think a lot of people expected Beauregard to play a little bit better. So it's a huge game for Valley because now coming up for them, we talked about Horseshoe Bend having a tough region. I mean, you look at their region, you follow Opelika and all those teams. So this is going to be really, really important, I think, for this Valley team to get a big win over Lanett and not have that kind of embarrassment of losing to a team that's so many classifications below you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for the Dadeville at Elmore County game. Elmore County coming off a big win. Dadeville starting off its season. This is always a good rivalry game, and obviously the Tigers are looking forward to new coach Roger McDonald to see what they're going to deliver under him.
Yeah, and for Elmore County, you're coming off a big win over Moody, who's a very good football program, and you dominated that game. And so now, how do you bounce back off of that? And you can't have a letdown game. You're coming off a big win, first game of the year for Dadeville. They're going to be excited. First game under Coach McDonald. They haven't gotten to play football, so you can't have a letdown game. And I don't think you're going to see that just because of the magnitude of this rivalry and how close the two schools are.
Sylacauga is at Lincoln. Sylacauga won last week. Lincoln did not. Again, it's that importance of not having a letdown this week, especially starting under Coach Zhao.
Yeah, for Sylacauga, they get Central Clay. They're going to get the defending state champs next week, first region game. And so you don't want to get caught up in kind of overlooking a Lincoln team that got beat by Southside Gadsden a week ago. And that's why it's important there for them. And, you start off 1-0 under Coach Zhao against a really good Leeds team. Now, how do you come off that? You need to get a big win over Lincoln on the road. heading into next week where you're going to get the biggest challenge that you've seen so far this year.
Absolutely. And speaking of Clay Central, they will host Benjamin Russell. This has become a really good rivalry game again these last couple of seasons, with the Danny Horn having been at BR for the previous 9 seasons before he went back to Clay. This is it's going to be a challenge for Benjamin Russell, especially after what happened last week against Huffman. Pretty big loss that was a little unexpected to start the season.
Yeah, I mean, they gave up 250 total yards to the running back last week, and we know what Coach Horn likes to do. He likes to line up and run the
ball.
football. And so, for Benjamin Russell, I think the importance of kind of shoring up the defensive side of the ball, figuring out where you messed up, because for them, they got down early and then they fought their way back and made it a 2-point game. And so, I think you talked about it when you were writing for the paper, but they just have gotten off to all these bad starts over the last couple of years. And so for them, a couple of years ago, they get down, 17-0 to Central Clay and come back and win the game. So for them, if they could get off to a good start and not play from behind, then I think that you're looking at a team that could win some games. So I think that's going to be something to really look for this week is can Benjamin Russell get off to a better start and not have to play from behind. And, interesting, this is a 4-2 series. Benjamin Russell leads the series. And Coach Horn is also 4-2 and lost one at Benjamin Russell back in 2016 and then lost his first one at Central Clay in 2018 in that comeback. So.
Yeah, it'll be a good one for sure. Another always good one, Opelika is at Auburn. This series has been very even-keeled throughout the years, and they always get up for each other, crosstown rivals essentially. So I'm excited to see this one as well.
Yeah, I grew up around this rivalry going to elementary school there, and it used to be week 9 every year, and it was such a huge game. And, pep rallies at all the elementary schools, the pep rally at the high school Friday. Now they've had to move it up because they're not in the same classification or region anymore, and the game still is big, and it's a really, really important game for Auburn because they lost this game a year ago to Opelika, and for this Auburn team, they've got their quarterback back, they're in a tough region, and they really need to build up some momentum going into a really tough region with Prattville, Dothan, Phoenix City.
Really tough one, Yeah, so another, really exciting slate of games. We also, not technically Central Alabama, but we do want to mention that St. Paul's at Spanish Fort is on ESPN on Friday night, 6 o'clock. So that's kind of exciting, especially for those who have been itching for some sports to watch.
No doubt, and former Homewood player Cole Kublick will be on the call for that game as well. And, I'm looking forward to that one. I'm going to have it recorded so that I can watch it because I want to see both these teams. Spanish Fort, obviously, they have players every year going D1. St. Paul's has some too, and they've obviously got a huge offensive lineman that committed to Duke a couple weeks ago. So it's going to be really, really interesting to watch that one on Friday night. And if you're not on NFHS Network watching any of the other stuff, that's going to be a really good one to tune into.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we appreciate y'all tuning in, and we will see y'all next week.